What's up everyone, this is Apollo, and today I'm doing something a little different. Now normally on this channel I do a news recap show of everything that happened in the past week, but today I'm going to be doing something a little different, and that different thing is I'm doing a movie review. Now this is an attempt of putting more content on my channel, seeing as I only have one show really on my channel that I put up constantly every week. And today's movie review that I'm doing is called Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Now this movie is a sequel to the 2014 Kingsman: The Secret Service, starring Taron Egerton, Colin Firth, and Mark Strong. So if you want to watch that first to get a few of the references made in this movie, then go ahead, but to me, I don't think you really need it. And also, I am going to be spoiling the hell out of this movie, so if you haven't seen this movie yet, don't watch this, please, because I don't want to spoil it for you and for other people that haven't watched this film yet. With all that out of the way, let's get right into the review of this movie. Now, I'm going to be starting with the pros of this movie, and the first pro of this is that it's stuck to the same formula. And what I mean by that is that it had a main theme to the movie. The first movie were both directed by Matthew Vaughn beautifully, in my opinion. That's another pro. That it was shot beautifully. And one thing that was interesting about this movie is he shot it in the way where the action was always in the center of the camera, so your eyes really never move from the center of the screen. But going back on that, it stuck to the same formula. Again, this is a spoiler. This movie dealt with not the same thing that the last movie dealt with, but it stuck to like a same type of central theme. And what that is in this last movie, it went with a technology type of theme where it basically both these Kingsman movies have a theme of social issues and social, not constructs, but social issues that happen in our world today. So like the first movie had a technology thing where people were being mind controlled, I think. Yeah, I think it was like mind controlled through their phones, and in this one it was actually a drug thing, and actually made a big statement on the drug wars that we have in America today. And that's the formula that I'm talking about, where it stuck to. There is this villain that is taking advantage of a certain, not bad thing or not good thing, but a certain divisive thing in America today. So the first one, that the villain was Samuel L. Jackson, who played a very great Bondish villain. Yeah, that's another thing about this movie, about these two movies, that's that Matthew Vaughn, this is basically his version of the Bond movies if he was allowed to do a Bond movie. And I thought it was great. But I keep on getting off track here. The sticking to the formula. Let's stick into the formula. They stuck to the form in the first movie. Yes, the first movie, they stuck to the formula They made a formula where they used a thing that was big in our world at that time and today, which is technology, and they used it as a weapon almost. And today, everyone's talking about legalizing marijuana or how marijuana has been legalized in most states, and it needs to be legalized everywhere across the country. Well, in this movie, it was interesting. Again, spoilers. I want to say Julia Roberts, but Julianne Moore played the villain, who was not your typical drug lord, and she was one of the wealthiest billionaires because she sold so many drugs, and she infused a disease almost with the drug where it would kill you. But she had her own antidote to that disease, and what she did was what the hell did she do? Oh yeah, she had her own antidote, and she made a public announcement to the president saying that if you agree to my demands, if you agree to my demands, then I'll let all these drugs go. I'll let the antidote go, and it will heal all the people, because everyone around the world has been taking these drugs. And before that even happened, I totally blanked on this, but before that even happened, she made sure that the Kingsmen were out of, not business, but just out of commission. So what she did was she blew up the Kingsman store, the Kingsman mansion, and almost all the Kingsman houses. The one that Eggsy lived in, she blew that up, and the store that they kind of ran their business out of, she blew that up. The mansion that they ran most of their stuff out of, she blew that up. And so that's what forced the character of Mark Strong and Taron Egerton to go to America to find their cousins, the Statesmen, that were played by Channing Tatum and Jeff Goldblum, right? Right? Was it Jeff Goldblum? It was Jeff Goldblum. I keep on thinking another Jeff. No, Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges. Oh my God, it was Jeff Bridges. But yes, it was played by Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges, who were one of my favorite code names ever. Tequila. Channing Tatum playing Tequila, and Jeff Bridges, I can remember, playing the code name of Champagne, and just shorten it to Champ because, well, it's Jeff Bridges. So they all not colluded, but got together to take out this big threat, which was the whole disease and the drugs. And Julianne Moore's character was not trying to take over the world, but like trying to have drugs legalized so she can be a known wealthy businesswoman, if I remember that correctly. And she had this whole underground secret service called the Golden Circle, where people were coming to this deserted Cambodia palace that was made to look like 50s, made to look like the 50s almost. And what is this? And yeah, I'm just going on and on. I can ramble on and on about the whole story because I freaking loved it. But anyway, the next thing that I want to say, the next pro I want to say is that Elton John. Yes, Elton John. A lot of people. I talked to a couple people after the movie. I talked to like a couple friends and a couple family members, and some of them said they didn't like Elton John's involvement in this movie, and some said they loved it. Personally, I loved it because I'm a big fan of Elton John. Yes, I'm that kind of person, but I'm a big fan of Elton John and his music, and I thought he was just hilarious in that movie. I mean, was he really needed? No, but does it really matter in this type of movie? No, because this kind of movie is just crazy action, beautifully shot. I mean, greatly acted. Again, that's two pros in one sitting. Elton John, crazy action that was this almost better than the action in the 2014's version of it, and what was it? Oh, a strong cast. Like a very strong cast. Like I said, Jeff Bridges, Channing Tatum, Halle Berry played the same type of role that Mark Strong played as like the technology guy. Mark Strong played the technology guy, and Halle Berry played that technology woman too. And I mean, it was spoiled in the trailers, which I wasn't. I mean, I'll hit on that later, but they spoiled it in the trailers that Harry also returned, and Harry like with this cast, you could see the Statesman and the Kingsman. You could see the Statesman and the Kingsman that are basically total mirrors of each other, other than Pablo Pascal. I butchered the hell out of that name, but yeah, the other pro, and I've already said it to death. It was a beautiful looking movie. I mean, not a lot of movies today will focus on just straight beauty, and I really thought that they shot everything perfect. I mean, not perfectly, but thought they shot everything perfectly. Again, with the center camera where all the action takes place in the center, like the colors just popped ridiculously. Like the red suit that Eggsy's character wore, you could it stood out from a crowd, and it stood out so much that I was just like, I can find that suit somewhere in the world, and I know, and it probably cost me an arm and a leg if I know money right. But again, crazy action as expected. That's what I expected from this type of Kingsman movie, and that's what I expected from a Matthew Vaughn movie. Just crazy off the walls action. Like they did things that I didn't even think a normal person could do, and I'm glad they showed it. Like it was just like guns firing everywhere, weapons. This was more. This wasn't as James Bond as people come to know James Bond, but if this was Matthew Vaughn's James Bond, then this is probably what it would be. Daniel Craig would have a nightmare doing it because, oh my God, some of the things that Eggsy did, I don't think James Bond could do. I really don't, and you can at me on that, but don't please, because I don't. Well, I mean, no, at me on it. I'll argue with you all day. At the Vance Wallace, come at me. Anyway, not second. Oh yes. The next pro, yeah, the next pro I want to talk about, Mike Strong. Mike Strong was he was fantastic in this movie. I thought he was absolutely fantastic in this movie. I mean, he had like kind of really big shoes to fill as again, spoilers, Colin Firth's character Harry dies in the first one, and he had really big shoes. He had really big shoes to fill to help Eggsy with his what is it? Not Kingsman process, but being a Kingsman and being the right kind of Kingsman. Which he's already kind of breaking the law being a Kingsman, because in the Kingsman Code it says you're never supposed to date or have a relationship, and Eggsy has a relationship with the Swedish princess that. That I'm not gonna spoil it in the first one, but if you see the first one and watch the end scene, then depending on how you are as a person and depending on how you think, you'll think one of two things of it. Personally, I didn't have a problem with it. I just thought it was hilarious that they did it at the end, but some other people will have a problem with it. But yeah, Mark Strong played Merlin excellently. I mean, he and his range went from sad to happy to just comedic. Like he wasn't the typical he wasn't the typical comic relief, but he played a comic relief that was a badass in a sense. Like to me that was just absolutely perfect. What else? Oh, another pro another pro is that it was a great soundtrack from Prince's Let's Go Crazy, which is as the title is crazy, because if I read correctly, when Prince was alive, he wasn't gonna allow you to use any of his music. He wasn't gonna allow you to use any of his music to do almost anything. So like all his music was his. So I like what is it? His Super Bowl performance. He basically told the NFL. He basically told the NFL, it's just like, you can't distribute my music anywhere. So finding his halftime Super Bowl performance, you couldn't find that anywhere. You could not find it anywhere. Like there were like some illegal versions of it. Like you could like find deep in the web, but I don't look that far. I just like to think of the memory of that. But when Prince died, those sanctions kind of been lifted, and this movie was actually the first movie to use a Prince song, "Let's Go Crazy," in the beginning sequence of the scene, which is an amazing car chase. But I'm not gonna try not to spoil this as much as I am. And the last pro I'll say about this movie is that it is truly a love letter to the classic Bond, with all the fancy gadgets and the cars and the women and the way things go down. This was just Matthew Vaughn's love letter to the Bond films. And to be honest, I mean, I don't know if they're still looking for a director for the new Bond films, or if I think they've decided on one. Yeah, right. I think they decided on Sam Mendes, but if they haven't decided on a director, or they're just gonna, after Daniel Craig is finished doing Vaughn and they're gonna look for a new director. Look at Matthew Vaughn, please Hollywood, or please whoever owns the Bond films. But anyway, on to the cons. If I can delete this quick enough. On to the cons. The first con is that the character of Roxy wasn't really needed. I mean, I know there are people online saying that she was the only one to go through the Kingsman process and complete the Kingsman process and actually be a Kingsman, and her role kind of felt, again, spoilers, her role in this movie kind of felt like it was cut short because like I said earlier, Julianne Moore blew up the Kingsman Mansion and Roxy was in the Kingsman Mansion, and so she basically died. And there were a lot of going back and forth where the Swedish princess had more stuff to do than Roxy, even though Roxy was a more important character. To me, Roxy wasn't really needed in this movie. I mean, Roxy could have been on a secret mission and I wouldn't have cared necessarily, because what she was mainly doing was like giving a briefing and giving an exposition briefing that Merlin could have done easily. And another thing she did was when Eggsy was at the Swedish king's house for dinner, she was just feeding him lines. She was just feeding him lines to impress the king. Another thing Merlin, a tech guy, could have done, but I guess those were the two things just to justify Roxy being in there. But to me, Roxy wasn't really needed. The second con I want to say about this movie is that the trailers ruined a surprise. And what I mean by that is that in the first trailers, I think it was, in the first trailer they revealed that Harry is still alive, that Harry is living and he's well. In the first movie, everyone expects Harry to be dead, and I really would have appreciated if they saved that moment for the movie and didn't show it in the trailers. I mean, I don't know what editing company was given this movie to edit, but I think they ruined the surprise of Harry being there, because it would have been a much bigger pop if they just had that surprise waiting in the background, just like it's like, this movie's gonna be great. You could have showed the car chase scene like in 20 different angles. You could have showed so much. You could have showed 2 trailers of the car scene and the snow scene. Wow, of the Italian Alps. Yeah, of the Italian Alps scene, and you could have been absolutely fine. Well, without showing Harry, you could have done it, but I mean, showing Harry almost ruined the surprise, because when they showed Harry at the Statesman thing, basically suffering from not amnesia. Well, he forgot all his stuff. It goes into this long thing where after Harry was shot, the Statesman actually got Harry and basically did this thing to like heal his brain and heal everything, and basically recovered him back to full health. Sorry, basically recovered him back to full health, and like that was the way of explaining. Oh, Harry's still alive. This is how he's still alive. And in the trailers, they showed in the end scene of the first trailer, they showed that Harry was still alive, and I feel like if they saved that for the movie, I would have been more surprised. But when I actually saw that scene happen, I was just like, man, okay, cool. I mean, we've seen it in the trailers like 20 or 30 times, so I mean, that's nothing new. Gah. Sorry about that. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the fact that Harry's not dead kind of ruined the movie. Another con that I had was that the character of Channing Tatum. The character of Channing Tatum playing The character of Channing Tatum playing what was it? Tequila. Yes, Tequila. Yeah, the character of Channing Tatum was virtually unused, and in the trailers, it made it seem like he was going to be in it a lot. But then they did this almost like, I guess they didn't pay him enough to be in the movie throughout in the whole movie, but like But like what they did was basically it's just like, oh, he took the drug and now he's kind of gonna go into this anti-freezer chamber and sleep through the rest of the movie. And I was just like, well, okay, like Channing Tatum seemed like a minor, very minor character than to the other characters in this movie. And the last thing, and this is kind of like a controversial thing right now. I mean, yeah, it's a controversial thing, but the last thing I want to say is that the last con is that they could have pushed it farther. And what I mean by that is that there is this scene where it's at this music festival, Glastonbury, I think. I'm saying that so wrong, but Glastonbury, but it's like a music, it's like a Coachella of some sorts, and and Eggsy has to go and find a person to track find this girl with a golden circle tattoo to track her every move. Well, go and find the ex-girlfriend of one of the Golden Circle of Julianne Moore's one of Golden Circle's members, so they could track her every move. The thing about it though is that what this movie did is that they had a tiny little condom with the tracker on it, and they were kind of like at first beating around the bushes, just like you need like a soft fleshy tissue we placed to just place it ever so slightly to do it, and they were just like, so Eggsy was just like, oh, like, you know, so like behind the ear or something, and it's like Mike Strong's character and Pablo Pascal's character's like, not really, and then he kept guessing, and then he was just like, oh, and then they kind of both, and then he kind of realized that, oh, I'm gonna have to have sex with this girl to place the tracker in, or I'm gonna have to finger her, because the condom was so tiny small. But what he did before was that he before they actually did that, he went to the bathroom to call his girlfriend to say, look, I'm gonna have to have sex with this girl to place a tracker in so we can follow her every move so we can save the world, and all this other stuff happened, like that's basically cheating, and all this other stuff happened. And then after that phone call, he goes back and what they did, which I thought was not disgusting, but I was just like, oh jeez, like I was just like not sick to my stomach, but like not, it was just interesting. Was the camera pans down to not the panty line but her panties, and it shows Eggsy's hand going in and basically about to place a tracker in her vagina. Why did I say it like that? In her vagina. And what the camera does is that it pushes in, like it does extreme push in, and they basically went through the panties and straight into the vagina to show you that the tracker is still in there. My thing is that they did a joke similar to this. They did an anal joke in the last movie, a whole freaking anal joke in the last movie, and in this movie they stuck with this like, oh, it's just a vagina joke. Well, I feel like with this type of movie, like I wasn't expecting more, but I was just like, I could have like went for more. Like you could have just like, it could have been like, and to me it could have been like, oh, I have to I don't know why this idea came up. I have to screw Henry Cavill, and you know, like, yeah, you can get what I'm getting at, but that could have pushed, like, just if you're gonna push the envelope, push it to its edge, just push it to its edge so far that people can actually not get uncomfortable, but like just like get like a queasy type of feeling. But I mean, other than all that, I really enjoyed the movie. I mean, I loved the first Kingsman movie, and I thought, and when I knew there was going to be a sequel coming out, I was just like, I'm already down. I didn't even have to see a trailer to know I was already down for this movie. And then when I saw the trailers, I was just so down. So to me, I'm gonna recommend this movie to a friend. I'm recommending this movie. I recommend you go see it. You don't have to see the first Kingsman movie to see it, but if you want to, go ahead because I highly recommend that movie. Um, it's top 10 quality to me personally. The way they filmed, the way the story was, everything to it just says top 10 quality. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you like this, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time. I'll see you next time.